All right, let's get into it. Today, we're tackling a true giant of English literature, a book that's been grabbing readers for, over 170 years now? I'm talking, of course, about Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. And let's just start with Jane's own voice, because it really says it all, doesn't it? I was like nobody there. Wow. That feeling of being an outsider, of just not belonging, that's not just the start of her story. It's the engine that drives everything that happens next. So, where do we begin? We're at Gateshead Hall, and right away, you know this is not going to be a happy childhood. Jane is an orphan, living with her aunt, Mrs. Reed, and some truly awful cousins. And yeah, home is not the word I'd use. It's more like a prison. I mean, look at this setup. It's just so brutal. You've got Jane, this 10-year-old kid who's basically told she's inferior, not good enough, and then you have the Reeds, her wealthy cousins who just torment her nonstop, and an aunt who literally calls her a noxious thing. Can you imagine? There's just nowhere for her to go, no one in her corner. And eventually, something has to give. It all explodes in this one famous scene, the Red Room. Jane, for the first time, defends herself against her bully cousin John. And for that, her punishment is to be locked in the room where her uncle died, the one person who was ever kind to her. The sheer terror of it all causes her to completely break down. It's a moment that scars her, for sure, but it also cements this fire in her, this deep understanding of injustice. So, she gets sent away to Lowood Institution. You'd think, okay, a fresh start. Things have got to be better, right? Well, not exactly. This place is less of a new beginning and more of a crucible. It's where her character is really going to be tested. Life at Lowood is just miserable. We're talking pitchers of water frozen solid in the morning, porridge that's literally burnt, hours and hours of prayer in the freezing cold. And the punishments are just brutal for the tiniest mistakes. And the guy in charge, this Mr. Brocklehurst, a total hypocrite who preaches about suffering and hardship while his own family is living it up. The injustice is just staggering. But it's here that she meets someone who changes her perspective, Helen Burns. And you've got these two totally different ways of dealing with injustice. Helen's philosophy is all about patient endurance, turning the other cheek. Jane's instinct? Oh, it's to grab the rod and break it. This clash of ideas is so important for Jane. It makes her stop and think, okay, what's the right way to fight back? What does it really mean to be strong? So fast forward 8 years. Jane has survived Lowood. She's even become a teacher there. But then her friend and mentor, Miss Temple, leaves. And suddenly, the walls start closing in. The quiet, predictable life that once felt safe now feels like a cage. She's craving something more. Liberty, adventure, life. And here's what's so cool about Jane. She doesn't just sit around daydreaming. Nope, she's a woman of action. She knows liberty is a bit vague, so she prays for something really practical. A new servitude, a new job. And then she makes a plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3. She writes an ad, she mails it. She literally takes her future into her own hands. And it works. Her ad gets a response. And just like that, she's off to a place called Thornfield Hall to be a governess. And let me tell you, this place is going to turn her entire world upside down. We're talking mystery, passion, secrets, the whole shebang. So she gets there, and at first it seems fine. A little too quiet, maybe. The housekeeper, Mrs. Fairfax, is nice enough. But there's this big question hanging in the air. Where is the master of the house? Mr. Rochester is nowhere to be found. And then she meets him. And whoa, Mr. Rochester is a lot. He's moody, he's intense, he's brilliant, and he's not like anyone she has ever met. And the amazing part is they just click. It's this battle of wits from the very beginning. He sees her as an equal, and she is absolutely not afraid to give as good as she gets. But remember how I said it was a little too quiet? Well, that doesn't last. Thornfield has secrets. You start hearing these weird, creepy laughs echoing down the halls. Then, one night, Jane wakes up to find Rochester's bed is literally on fire. There's something seriously wrong in this house. But despite all these massive red flags, she falls for him. And when he proposes, she says yes. They make it all the way to the wedding. They're at the altar. And then, bam, it all comes crashing down. someone objects, and the big, dark secret of Thornfield is finally revealed. Mr. Rochester already has a wife. Her name is Bertha, and he's been keeping her locked in the attic this whole time. I mean, can you even imagine? Her whole world just implodes. She's completely heartbroken. And now she has to make a choice that is going to define who she is, deep down in her soul. Rochester begs her to stay. Just live with me, he says. Forget the law, forget society. But Jane knows she can't. To become his mistress would be to give up her self-respect, the one thing she has fought for her entire life. So she makes this incredibly brave, incredibly painful choice. She chooses her principles and she leaves, in the middle of the night with absolutely nothing. And this is rock bottom, truly. She is literally a beggar on the streets, starving, homeless. But the physical pain is almost nothing compared to the emotional torment. She hates herself for leaving Rochester, even though she knows deep down it was the only thing she could do. She's just completely broken. Just when you think it's all over, when she is at the absolute end of her rope, she collapses on a doorstep, and the people inside, the Rivers family, take her in. And this isn't just a random act of kindness. This is fate stepping in. So as she's getting her strength back, she starts talking to them, and they put the pieces together. It turns out, these people, these strangers, they're her family, they're her cousins. For the first time in her entire life, Jane isn't alone anymore. She actually has a family. And if that wasn't enough of a shock, there's more. It turns out her uncle, John Eyre, the one who died years ago, he left her something. His entire fortune. A fortune that is about to change everything. When she hears the amount, she can't even process it. £20,000. To a woman who has never had anything, that number is just, it's unimaginable. It literally takes her breath away. She goes from a penniless orphan to a wealthy woman in a single moment. And this right here tells you everything you need to know about Jane Eyre. What's the very first thing she does with all this money? She doesn't buy a mansion or fancy clothes. Nope. She insists on splitting it with her cousins. She wants a family of equals, not dependents. It was never about the money for her. It was about connection, about belonging. So now she's an independent woman. She has her own money, her own family, and she can finally go back to Rochester, but this time on her own terms. But when she gets back to Thornfield, it's gone, just a burnt-out ruin. She finds out that Bertha set a fire, which destroyed the house, and that Rochester was badly injured trying to save people from the blaze. She finds him living in a desolate little house called Fern Dean, and when they're finally reunited, everything has changed. She isn't the poor, dependent governess anymore. She's his equal. She has her own wealth, her own family, her whole journey, from that lonely little girl at Gateshead to this strong, independent woman. It all comes down to this one question, really. What does it cost to hold on to who you are, no matter what the world throws at you?